already people who have plans that predate the Affordable Care Act can keep those plans if they haven't changed. That was already in the law. That's what's called a grandfather clause. It was included in the law. Today, we're going to extend that principle both to people whose plans have changed since the law took effect and to people who bought plans since the law took effect. So state insurance commissioners still have the power to decide what plans can and can't be sold in their states, but the bottom line is insurers can extend current plans that would otherwise be canceled into 2014, and Americans whose plans have been canceled can choose to re-enroll in the same kind of plan.
All right, there you have it. We welcome you to the Steve Malzberg Show. Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States, he was supposed to talk at 11:30 Eastern. Then they postponed it to 11:45 Eastern, and he wound up speaking just after 12 p.m. noon Eastern because he's always late. The President of the United States, I don't think he's been on time, not counting State of the Unions and that kind of thing. With one of these press conferences or announcements, he's never on time. He's always late. We should talk to a shrink about what that means when someone is always late. Anyway, this is his fix. Under intense pressure from Democrats in the House and the Senate, the president came up with this. First of all, he's bypassing Congress again. He's changing the law again. It's unconstitutional. He keeps doing it. He does it with other laws. He's done it many, many times with the Affordable Health Care Act, and now he's changing it again. But get this, as Wolf Blitzer would say. Now get this. He's putting the onus on the insurance companies, those evil, bad apple insurance companies that have been giving people subpar policies that will bankrupt you if you get sick. If you want to keep one of the canceled policies, he's leaving it up to the insurance companies to reinstate that policy if they want to. He's not making it mandatory. He's changing the law to say, we'll give you another year without having a policy that, gives men maternity coverage. So as a unilateral bypass of Congress, change of the law, number one, but he's not mandating it. He's putting the onus on the insurance companies to say, the ones that have sent out millions of cancellation letters to now reverse themselves and send out letters saying, you could keep it. But that's not all. If they keep it for you, they also have to tell you that you could get another policy, a better policy, and here's what it would cost you. Do you know what that does to insurance companies? How are they ever going to do that? Joining us right now is Congresswoman, I always make that mistake, Congressman Marsha Blackburn, Republican Tennessee, Vice Chair of the House Energy and Commerce Committee. And Congressman, good to talk to you again.
You too.
All right. Now, what's your take on Obama's quote-unquote fix for the millions who are losing their policies?
Well, one of the things the president seems to not realize is that Congress is who can fix this. And, of course, folks like me would love to see a full repeal of this and going back and putting some of the ideas that are free market solution-oriented on the table and working through those, things like equitable treatment under the tax law for individuals and companies, and a cross-state line purchase of insurance, and state-based risk pools, things of that nature. But the president seems to think that he can go wave a magic wand and he can fix things by doing that. And I got to tell you something. We are a nation of laws. We abide by the rule of law. And I think that he needs to be working with us, not against us, on trying to get this straightened out.
But, Congressman, with all due respect, he's been doing this from day one, giving exemptions, postponing for a year, carving out exemptions for this group and that group, and he's done it with other laws, deciding what they'll enforce and whatnot. So who's going to stop him?
Well, my hope is that we're going to have more members of Congress who will agree with us that he cannot do this. That is why through 1,700 waivers and 20 different delays of the bill, his HHS and CMS missing 50% of their deadlines. we've continued to do our due diligence, to do our oversight hearings, and to remind them and try to work with them on the fact that they cannot do this. Congress is who has to pass the laws. They've got to implement it all or implement none of it. That's one of the reasons, Steve, I had my bill, H.R. 2809, and still have it, which is a one-year delay of all things Obamacare. You can delay the whole thing or you can delay none of it, but you cannot start picking and choosing that you're going to implement or enforce one part of the law or another part of the law.
All right, what about, Congressman, what about Fred Upton's bill, Republican from Michigan, who will bring up that bill tomorrow, I believe, is still the plan. And it differs from what the president said today. The president puts the onus on the insurance companies to decide whether or not they want to maintain those policies. Then it puts all kinds of restrictions on them that they have to send a note along saying, you could have a better policy, here's what would be included, and here's what it would cost you. Fred Upton's bill would let not only existing people keep their bill, but new customers buy insurance they want that wouldn't give men maternity coverage for a year. So is the House going ahead with that vote tomorrow?
Yes, we are.
And how will you vote on that?
I'll vote for it.
And you think that's a temporary fix for this?
I think that it is another tool in the toolbox and another way we can work through some of these issues that are in front of us. As I said, the ultimate fix for this is a repeal and replacing it with, we've got our American Health Care Reform Act, which is legislation that the conservatives in the House has written. We would certainly like to see that taken up and moved off the floor and moved to the Senate. And I remind you and your listeners, everybody, we've got lots of options on the table in the Senate. Harry Reid needs to start picking up some of these bills and working with us to solve the problems and to find solutions to the issues that are affecting the American people.
All right. Well, we got less than 2 minutes left, but let me ask you. You said you conservatives in the House have lots of bills. Why don't every liberal commentator and every Democrat? First of all, is there Democratic support for the Upton bill that you know of?
Yes,
there is a significant amount.
I think that you'll see probably 20, 25 Democrats cross over and vote with us.
Okay. Now, as far as a bill going forward, why don't you guys just sit down and take the good parts of Obamacare, or the parts people like? You could keep your kid on their insurance until they're 65,000 years old. You could no pre-existing conditions, portability, donut hole. Take 5 or 6 things, pass that one sheet of paper, tell the folks everything Obama touts about the bill is right here. We passed it. You could keep it. The other 1,800 pages go bye-bye, and have a bill that's passed. Put the ball in the Senate's court. You haven't passed anything, and you give the left and the Democrats and the media a talking point.
We have, and we have passed bills, and they do have bills, and they could pick these up and they could take action on them. Letting adult children who are still students stay on insurance until they're 26, that was a Republican idea. State-based risk pools for those with pre-existing conditions, that was a Republican idea.
We got 30 seconds. With all due respect to you,
also.
With all due respect, then you got the leadership. You guys have to tell the public, here's what our bill is. People say we don't have one. Here's what we passed, because I don't even know what you passed. Please.
I agree with you. We need to be talking about our solutions and what we have done and will continue to do. I'm in total agreement with you.
Well, good. Congressman, thank you for taking the time on a very busy day. Thank you. Congressman Marsha Blackburn, ladies and gentlemen. She says Democrats to the tune of 25 or so are on board for the Fred Upton bill, which will be voted on tomorrow. We shall see. When we come back, we'll be joined by Ambassador John Bolton, who will weigh in on this and Iran on the Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio.